open up the May 4th, 2020 commission meeting. This is 2020-16. Sean Chassett, Commissioner, will you pray for us? We'll go to Pledge Allegiance.
Everybody will bow their heads and pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the new opportunity to talk about getting things back to normal in our county and in our state and in our individual lives. We pray for clarity of thought while we debate these issues. We ask that you be with all of our families, all those that are suffering through this and suffering for this. And just bless us all. In Jesus' name we pray. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, gentlemen, they have asked that we move the microphones a little bit closer to our faces because Chris was noting that he could barely hear it in some of the recordings. So we'll get that down. First thing I'd like to do is actually amend the agenda. I want to go ahead and move 3, 4, and 5 off the county administrator's report to the very next meeting, which is meeting on the 18th. And I think that that's something that we can actually handle next meeting, as this meeting will probably be a long one. And I'd like to make 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 as one motion. And I would make that my motion to make those 2 changes if someone sees fit.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yep.
I would second the motion.
Okay. So for clarity, we have a motion to move 3, 4, and 5 to the 18th meeting and make 9, 10, 11, and 12 as one motion. So all those in favor?
Aye. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I have just a question before we take back our vote for a moment.
Sure. What you got?
You said 9, 10, 11, and 12?
And 13.
And 13, okay.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
And
And I vote for.
4. Okay. Okay. The first thing we have up is a community development block grant, and it's a revolving loan application. And I believe on this, Joanne, is it Pat and Joanne?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to come up too?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
This is a public hearing for 2 more businesses that have applied for our emergency funding, or the emergency funding through our Community Development Block Grant Revolving Loan Fund. Dodge City Salvage is a 60-year-old business employing 3 full-time employees. They meet all loan requirements and are seeking $35,000 to be repaid in 36 months at 1% interest and a payment deferral of 6 months on that first payment. They have experienced a drop in sales. Of course, a lot of their business is used parts and this and that, and so of course people weren't coming in like in the past. So that's the first request. I believe we need to
It's a separate item.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any questions?
How much is available that we have left in the loan fund?
We have approximately $183,000 in the fund before the two that we're hearing today.
Okay.
So after, we'll have about $98,000.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the community development block grant loan, and this is for Dodge City Salvage of it's Dodge City Business.
I second it.
So motion second, any discussion on this one? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. The second one is for Superior Home Improvements. This business was established in 2007. They meet all loan requirements and are seeking $50,000 to be repaid in 36 months at 1% interest with a 6-month first payment deferral. Superior Home Improvement employs 5 full-time employees. They also depend on sales and have been negatively impacted by the current situation in stay-home orders.
All right, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the community development block grant loan for Superior Home Improvements, also of Dodge City.
I second it.
With the motion second, any discussion on that one?
Just for clarification, both of these are outside of the city limits, so they are not eligible for the
City.
non-city fund.
Sure. Okay, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have 2 more applicants that we're working with right now. We're still looking to see if they meet the LMI, so.
Do you have very many going through the city right now? I assume you do?
Yes, we approved 4 last commission meeting, and I have 6 to present tonight.
Okay, and how are they doing on their funding?
They're really cutting back on the amount so they can do more businesses. So we approved $115,000 last meeting. We're asking to approve $80,000 for the 6 businesses tonight.
Okay,
And then we'll be promoting all of the funds again real heavily, to try to get the rest of them out, but they really tried to concentrate on a lot smaller amounts just because there are so many more businesses that are eligible.
okay,
So,
thank you.
thank you.
All right, so up
Be
next is,
safe. Be safe. Be safe.
Oh, yes, it's in my first.
up next is the consent agenda, which we have the, from the page here. We have the approval of meeting minutes 2020-12 and 2020-13, a credit card statement, and we have additions and maintenance, which bring Patty up to discuss with us.
We have one where we actually got some money back, and the rest, they were PUPs, payment in protest, which I can't stress again, we're gonna have quite a few, I'm afraid. Brought in information, they were really commercial ones, and they can bring in their income and expense information, they just bring in more information than they do typically, just not gonna give it to us otherwise. And what they bring is what we can use to lower the value.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second
all right, with motion second, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor?
it.
Aye.
Trying to get close.
Mr. Chairman, if you'll indulge just a minute. Patty,
Yes, I'm sorry.
we had an email earlier about a case from Labette County.
On the
Were
oil
you-
and gas.
Okay.
We are working on it. We're not big oil and gas. It will affect us, but not like your bigger counties that have their main source of their income is oil and gas. But Sharon's putting it together because I need to be asking. So
Okay.
as soon as we get some figures, I'll email it out to you guys.
I just
Or
wanted to
email
make
it
sure that you were in the loop on it,
To
so.
JD and he can forward it on to you guys.
Very good.
So,
Okay. All right, gentlemen, next up is the approval for claims for payment in the amount of $622,905.26. And I'd go ahead and make a motion to approve the claims.
I second
With motion second, any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
it.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move forward with the open public comments. Please limit 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless an emergency situation does exist. The microphone is open if you would like to approach and just tell us who you are and where you're from.
Got one here. Dr. Moffett.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, Doctor.
I have patients tell me I mumble all the time anyway without the mask on, so at the moment I'm gonna uncover it. And as far as I know, I'm still digging it. I have a concern with our county opening back up as much as it is following the governor's order. I do think for some counties, what the governor set out is more than reasonable. If you look at how our numbers developed, every weekend you see a drop on Monday and everybody celebrates, and then you see it go back up. I'm not gonna say we're gonna see a spike again this week, but with tomorrow being Cinco de Mayo and Sunday being Mother's Day, by the 14th to the 16th, if we don't do something to help people and limit their family times, we're gonna be in trouble. And you know, part of the hard part about this is we aren't getting information. It's just, things aren't being shared around the county, they aren't being shared out of the hospital. I don't know how to make that happen. But to really, I think, continue to protect our county, we need to take a really hard look at what we can open up. You know, there's been lots of discussion about what's community spread and what isn't. Bottom line is, it's all over the community, whether it's community spread or not. It's in our community. You can look at it and find it in doctor's offices. You can find it in Walmart. They had a death. You can find it in the packing plants, obviously. But the one thing that we have done is we've managed to protect our elderly so far. And I'd really like to see what it would take to make it so that we can continue to protect that population. Because it gets into one of our nursing homes, it gets into Arrowhead West, you're gonna see our death loss skyrocket because those are all high-risk folks. I'm not claiming to have the answer, but I do think we need to really look hard at what's going to be opened up and how that happens. And I still believe the stay-at-home order should be in effect in Fort County for the next 2 weeks. I put a post on our Facebook page, the clinic
Right.
Facebook page, in the last 15 minutes.
Yep.
And I really truly believe that, you know, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have a huge boost in cases if we don't really work hard on controlling our population and make it so that we're controlling what we can to try and limit contact, where in mass is a minimal part of it. So now I'm doing circle slush on it.
So would you make a drop down on what you think we ought to do, so, I mean,
Ken, I don't know if they can hear you in the back, so.
Dr. Moffett, I know you very well, and I like you a lot, but I wish you'd just kind of write down what you think we need to do, so that we're pretty much laymen.
Okay.
If you just write it down and email it to me or email it to JD, and so, you just be as tough as you want to be.
I think what I'll offer is I'll talk with 4 or 5 other people that I know all have a stake in the game and see if we can't send a recommendation that's kind of a group decision as opposed to just me saying what I think needs to happen. So,
We would really appreciate that.
Okay.
Do you have his email address?
I do.
Okay, well, I think that would be very important for a lay person like myself trying to make a good decision.
Okay.
Well, just
glad to do it.
20 minutes ago, you released the Facebook, post from yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, that would be a good one for Commissioner Snook to read.
Yeah. So I think that we really do need to continue to protect our seniors here. Within 10 days of Mother's Day, we're going to be burying some of our mothers and grandmothers.
I completely agree with you about the sheltering of our elderly, our more vulnerable folks in the county, Doc. No doubt that we need to do our best to continue to do that.
Yeah.
That goes without saying, whether we're talking about Cinco de Mayo or opening the county up or just normal county operations. I think that needs to happen. Sometime down the road, those folks are going to start saying, you know what, my quality of life has gone to the point where I have to make a decision on whether I want to stay sheltered here or I want to spend a few days and enjoy what I have left or whatever. They're not, I mean, I think about my folks, for example, that have not seen, or interacted with grandkids or their kids for some time,
Yeah.
okay? And at what point are they going to say, well, I've had enough of that, and I'm going to do that. Some point that's going to happen, and we can do our best to shelter those, and I think we should continue that.
Yeah.
My next question would be is, by continuing with the stay-at-home order in the county, with Cinco de Mayo coming on and Mother's Day coming on, what level of success are you thinking we may have to limit contact during those times by enforcing a stay-at-home for another 2 weeks here in the county?
Yeah, I think we've got a population of people, and I'm not talking I'm not talking between cultures. I'm talking just in general. There's those who are going to pay attention and stay home and have for the last month, and there's those that are going to still go ahead and get together and figure out ways around it. But I do feel like if we were to extend it, those who have listened to us and kept their homes healthy and stayed home and done their best, not to say that it hasn't gotten into a few of those homes also, but I think we'll see those people continue to stay at home and send mom flowers like I did my mother-in-law instead of driving to Hutch to see her this weekend. So, and I understand I deliver babies regularly, and to deliver a baby and send it home, and they know that grandma can't see it other than on video chat for a while. It is a hard thing for both directions, not only for the grandmother's health, but for the baby's health. And I don't know, I have no delusions that this virus will be gone in a month, but I do think there will be a lot less out there.
So that was going to lead me to my next question is what are we going to do when Memorial Day rolls around? And then when 4th of July rolls around, and we just keep pushing this out and saying, well, maybe we better wait until past this day or past the next day that everybody gets together and celebrates. And in the meantime, our folks that are trying to like hell to figure out how to hang on to their businesses, and employees that are trying like hell to figure out how to pay their bills when their employer is shut down.
Yeah.
We have a hell of a lot more to balance here than Cinco de Mayo or Mother's Day.
I totally understand. I mean, my business is off 40%. The ER company that I work for is bleeding $3.5 million a day. Right before this started, they bought 51 surgery centers, and they haven't been able to do Operation 1 from the time, So I understand what it is for those who are trying to keep the business alive, because Dr. Williams and I are lone rangers. We're out there, what we make there is the majority of our income, you know, out of that office anyway. And, you know, I have a small farm. The hay prices are half what they were. So I totally understand what it is to worry about and apply for the loans and think, gosh, I never took government subsidies before, but I'm going to now. So, and at some point we do have to lessen what we're doing, but I do think that, you know, the restaurants that are having trouble, we need to, I mean, I've been doing carry out. We typically cook 6 nights a week at our house, but we've been doing carry out 2 or 3 nights a week, and we've been doing it once or twice a week at the office. Just not that the extra money's there, but we're trying to support the people we know support us.
Right.
So there's some ways to do it short of throwing the doors wide open.
Appreciate your insight. I appreciate.
I really, and I will talk to the other folks I was thinking about and see what we can come up with. Cindy.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for your
Thank you,
time.
Doc.
Thank you.
I'm Hannah Durkin, I'm the president of the chamber. I wasn't planning on making a statement. I talked to Chris and JD both a lot the past couple days, and I know we formed a panel of a couple healthcare providers and business leaders, and have sent some recommendations to Chris and JD to share with all of you. And my main thing, or my main ask, I guess, would be just the communication, to hit on that a little bit more, what Dr. Moffitt was talking about. You know, I get calls from the business community all the time to say, hey, how are we going? Which way is the county going? Are we opening? We see that the cases rose X number of day-to-day. You know, a lot of people question the difference between the KDHE reporting and what they see through the Facebook statements, and then also just how many were hospitalized and how many have fully recovered. And I know that right now it's easy to compare our community to surrounding communities. So a lot of people are comparing how they're reporting. And one that they really like, or they seem to, I think would be simple enough to duplicate, is similar to what Seward County is reporting. The numbers that they add on there that are different from maybe what we're reporting are just the hospitalizations, recoveries, total tests done. Yeah, Chris is showing you there right there. And I talked to Chris and JD about this, so I guess this is just for the rest of you to hear from me as well. And just to know that the businesses are asking for a little more clarity on some of those topics, and just to say, hey, if we are opening, to maybe know a little more ahead of time on those topics as well.
Yeah, so earlier today, your committee had asked me a question about why the numbers of KDHE don't add up to what Ford County's numbers add up, right? And my first initial response to that was, you know, we're testing other counties as well, right? There's, we even know people in a neighboring county where that person, friend of my wife's, right, grew up in another county, actually went to the local emergency, the urgent care, was turned away by them and said, go to the health department. Health department turns them away. Well, this person is feeling symptoms big time. Her husband drives her over here and gets tested. Of course, she's positive, right? So in a situation like that, we're feeling the numbers actually add up here, but maybe don't get reported back to the other county. So there is some stipulation between that. The other thing I can really share with you that I've learned this afternoon by asking deeper questions, because this isn't always, it's not an area that we always just play in, but if there's a stack of papers over here that our department has actually seen, and whether that's 65 cases or whatever that number might be, and all of a sudden we're then reporting to KDHE that this is what we have, the person at KDHE is reporting 8 ton of counties at one time, so they may not get to that before the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they may report that a different day, or they may report that another weekend. So it's not that our numbers are, they're never gonna match. And I just think it's just, that's the way this works. And I think if we hand you something that says, here's our numbers like Seward County, right? Which is what physically we're working on. if you ask for it again the next day, our numbers are gonna be so different. And I think what's unique about this, the recovery rate is tremendous. Like, we are seeing people that are just rebounding from this. Yes, there are deaths, but let's just be talking about this on a national level even. The CDC has changed the way you report as of April, that there is no longer a report saying it's flu related. It's now COVID related. That's been removed from us. So of course, anything that might be a flu-like symptom or might be remotely flu is now COVID. So that's playing to a national levels number. That's also going to play out here. When you have people that have passed away that maybe are very poor health, or multiple things, heart failures, or all-
Unregulated diabetes or all those things.
It's unbelievable what you're seeing from people. These are people that are not, they're not taking treatments all the way through life. They might be on medications, but they're not treating their ailments. And when they get this, it's chalked up to COVID, because in the grand scheme of it, when you start looking at what's come through the agenda of the White House or whoever else you might want to call it, when you see things that are passed, hospitals want to code people COVID because they get paid more, 20% more if it's Medicare related. And I think that that's jumping those numbers up. And I think that that's what's sad is in a community like this, we're seeing this is very mild, which is also one of the reasons why you're seeing that maybe that medical community is not in the know, or doesn't feel like they're in the know. We've got Trotter part of this, but he's explaining that it's very mild. People are recovering. This isn't something where the hospitals are not full. The hospitals are basically empty. The people that are using those breathing apparatus that are in there, they're not in there for COVID. They're in there because they have COPD and they're struggling on different things. So I think that's really the big picture that we're trying to paint with people. I know it makes sense that you want to see it in black and white, but we've been digging on this from day one. And when I go over and ask the health department to do this, they're asking, who do you want me to remove from what they're currently doing with the investigation side of digging and making sure people are healthy to do this report, because this is going to take some time.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I appreciate everything you're doing for contact tracing and keeping up with all the cases as well. And I know we've talked about that too, just putting that information out so the public knows that the county is doing all of that and all the hard work that the county is doing, that can shed some positive light on what the county's doing. And know that the chamber is here to help, and so is the panel that we formed. We just want to help inform the community on how to stay safe and how to reopen when they feel comfortable. We've had a lot of businesses in town that aren't reopening because they don't feel comfortable, even though the state has said they can. And actually, a lot of those are restaurants too and retail. So I think that speaks volumes too, as far as what the business community is thinking. And by no means a healthcare provider, which is why we have some of those on our panel too. But please just reach out to us if you have any questions or comments, and know that we are here just for the better of our county and our community too.
I know Matt's in the audience, and just to address this, because you're here and you're in front of us, and he's on your panel, and he's very vocal and very involved. Matt actually reached out again today, and I think what's interesting is when you get different people reacting to us, because I'm sure we're all getting phone calls and everything, media, and everybody's wanting time. And I have a doctor who just spoke, and he asked me to give him a call back and set up a meeting. I was the rest of the day on the phone. I did not have time to set up a meeting because that thing just took legs and ran like I could not believe. What's crazy is when you get in front of some of this, I think your committee has a lot of influence and power, and I think that they're tuned in. What I can tell you is Matt actually brought up that he's got a database I didn't know about, 30,000 people that he can actually get notifications out to right away. Well, if there's something that we actually have, we could bring that forward. That's something that I don't know that either of these gentlemen have
We have
heard either.
co-brand as well through the county, so we have a database that can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just utilize us as much as you can or as much as you'd like to. Know that we're here as a resource, and if you ever want suggestions, feel free to reach out, because I know we have a plethora of those as well. But
Right.
I can always ask my wife, but she's got plenty to say.
I know, there you go. But thank you for your time.
So, yeah, and before you go there, saw a post, I think Audrey Ackerman may have had a post there this morning that was very positive.
And
I
that's coming
appreciate-
from us at the chamber too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I appreciate staying towards the positive side of the things as much as you guys can. One one point there that I saw come out that I had a little bit of concern with is on your guys' goal. What you stated as a goal was trying to salvage our events that we have coming up this summer. Your Dodge City Days, your ball, and all things that bring a lot of business to Dodge City, and I get that. But I felt like that goal was small in scope, I guess, as just enumerated things. And to me, it felt like, okay, these folks are talking about saving things that yes, bring business into our community, but are we getting the perspective from those in business around here that are standing on the precipice of bankruptcy?
Yeah.
They're standing on the precipice of not being able to pay their bills because the businesses they work for are closed up or in bankruptcy. Okay, that's something that I didn't get from what you guys have put out there, is that you have that kind of a perspective.
And I'll tell you that I certainly do, because that's my job, you know, is listening to the business community.
Okay.
And we had a roundtable call last week, and I had over 105 people participate in that call, and it was all business leaders from the
Yeah.
community. And on that call were a couple of the things that are on our ask list or our recommendation list about, you know, communication. And I've heard of 2 businesses for sure that have had to close their doors, and they think permanently. So I've heard some. I would say, as far as economic impact, a lot of our community's been able to apply for the CARES funding. Some of them are concerned that they'll have to pay that back. A lot of them are hurting financially, and they do want to reopen, but I get calls every day from people that say, you know, as much as we want to reopen, we want to be healthy too, you know. So I think there is definitely a fiscal aspect to it, but I think in this situation, health does come first before that. And they're definitely being mindful of their operations of their business. And 66% on that call said that they were concerned about the viability of their business. But if they have to, you know, take their own precautions for a couple more weeks, they already have for this long, so they feel like they can for a couple more weeks. Most of the restaurants, they've still got foot traffic coming through for carry-out pickup. Retail's been hit really hard. Most of them still aren't opening. A couple of them are. I know some major chains through the mall are opening. So they're definitely feeling that for sure, but I know they've also still had some sales. So we do have a couple retail on the panel as well that have said, as much as we want to reopen, we got to keep ourselves safe too. And they've also received some of the funding from the CARES Act, so that was a big player in it as well. But I think we are hearing that. As far as events go, that just goes into livelihood of your community. You know, your community has to have those to maintain that livelihood. And you're talking economic impact of millions of dollars when it comes to Dodge City Days. You know, we bring in over 100,000 people to our town.
I get that, Anna,
Yeah.
and it's not just the economic impact to us, but it's also the emotional impact to
Yep.
the community as well. It's important to get those kind of events to happen.
Yeah.
It is. My mention of that as being under the goals there was, I wanted to make sure that we were gaining that perspective of the folks that are really teetering on the edge. So,
Yeah, and I would say too, maybe not as much as that was shown, because the panel's not necessarily just the chambers. So if I was leading from a chamber viewpoint, that's probably more what I would talk about, and the business asks, but we're thinking about much more than that.
Okay.
If you ever have questions, reach out to me, because I can tell you the calls I'm getting too.
Well, I think what's interesting is we have a Facebook page, right? And you know, I talked with Administrator Gilbert about this. I mean, I think maybe people don't feel like they've been heard going on there and posting. But I think what we basically had before this was, it was never an angle to basically have two-way communication like normal people do with Facebook, right? Like if my wife makes a post, she's trying to talk to her friends about whatever, you know, kids' activities, those type of things. And on this, it's not like that was ever set up for that kind of an angle. But one of the ones I really liked on there was a gentleman out of Spearville named Chris Ordell, and he actually put how many have gotten over the symptoms.
Sorry, I didn't
Please say it again.
Yeah, Siri's trying to talk to me. And then how many are in quarantine? And I think those are things that we probably have never addressed in public. You know, and I think that if we did come out with something like this, that could be a statement that we actually discuss, that how few are actually using the hotels or the other location, which I won't disclose, for quarantine. But one of the things I had to handle on my own side was, as a business owner, I had somebody who contacted me who was nervous because we had made a comment about the National Guard being here. And I had to come back and actually address that it's the Air National Guard, not the Army National Guard. We're not here to round people up and send them back to Mexico. It's the Air National Guard, and they're all nurses. So they're actually here to make sure that people at that other location are getting medication and treatment and getting better and healthy, and that are under quarantine and maybe by force, so that we actually stop the spread. So those are things that we haven't discussed outside.
And I think you hit it right there too. I don't think the ask is for every detail of information.
Right.
I think it's just a few simple statements is all it would take to appease a lot of people.
And I think what we've asked is, as people call us and we answer our calls, we ask for that to be sent to us in writing, so we can give you a written reply. Now, why I don't know people, because we've had a lot of that, and Administrator Gilbert is the person we send them to, and he has replied very well. And what's interesting at the end of those, if it doesn't fit somebody's narrative, we find the fight, right? We get the second email or the third email. But what's interesting is nobody's sharing that information on either. As those people gather that facts, and they're saying, wow, these are really good, why have you never told the public? We're all working. I mean, that's just it. I mean, we're not, when it comes to tuberculosis, we're not throwing this information out either. But when it comes to this, I mean, it's still HIPAA laws and privacy. We're trying to get through this direction as best we can as well.
And I know there's policies and procedures that you have to follow before releasing some things, but if there's anything that we could release, that would be a simple statement, or, and if I knew all those people, I would say, hey, give me the information and I'll share it for you as well. So just keep that in mind, that we're more than happy to release stuff and help, and we want to see our community come back, right?
Absolutely.
So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
Good
forward.
job.
Yeah.
I'll just take a couple minutes. I wasn't really planning on speaking anyway, but,
You might tell them who you are.
Matt Morrison, Gibson's Pharmacy, pharmacist. When we set out, I'd kind of echo what Moffett said, you know, but I understand all sides of this as well. And that's kind of where our panel had kind of come to an agreement was, we really need to proceed with caution because we're in a little bit different situation than a lot of places. And I can kind of see this going two different ways. It appears things are kind of trending in a positive manner right now, but we really, in 7 to 10 days, we're really going to know. So what I'd urge is I think it's good that the state recommendations aren't just everybody gets to go run wild. The risk for young people is low, so those are the people that we need to get out and get moving sooner than later. But we do need to find a way to protect our elderly and the people that are at risk. And we need to be prepared where if in 10 days we go from a downward curve back to another upward curve, that's a major concern. Because my feel, and I think the feel through the community is that there are a lot of people doing the right thing, and there are still a lot of people running around not doing the right thing too. So that'd be the concern. I don't envy any of you. These are not easy decisions to make. Even throughout the medical community, I talked to Chris this morning about how through our store, we probably know more medical practitioners than most of the medical practitioners in the area know. And there's a lot of varying opinion across the whole platform. So it's not easy decisions. I'd urge caution here. I think we're in a little bit different situation than a lot of places. And again, we're here to be a resource for you as much as we can. So.
Matt, I appreciate that. Normally we leave this to a 15-minute deal. I know we're way past that and, had multiple speakers. But since you're here, I want to make sure these guys get a chance to actually talk to you as well. And if they have things that they would like to bring up, this is the time. I know you're open to it.
Yeah.
I already talked to him about my problem.
I've got to get it taken care of.
So, Mr. Chairman, when we get on here so this is really going to be our opportunity to talk about how the county's moving forward here.
In the first item of the administrative report.
Is that just gonna be county operations though, or is that gonna be?
That includes all of it.
Okay. I'll wait until then to make some of these other comments.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you can, stick around for that. Yep.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
It's a couple away.
There's more there that, I mean, that'll kind of pivot into a different aspect that we get to talk or get to think about as well. And,
Yeah. But, and the only thing I'll add at this point, I guess, is we do need to plead with the public to be, I think that's kind of where we were going with the Dodge City Days comment, is there is an emotional aspect to that, right? I mean, we don't benefit financially from Dodge City Days as a business, but
Right.
I'll tell you what, emotionally, it's the best time to be in this town. And so I think that's kind of our point on that, is, hey, let's get things going, these are things people want to do in town. And I know it's minuscule compared to what a lot of people are going through financially. I mean, this has had a toll on our business as well, probably less than most in town, but it's still impacting us. So I know how that feels, it's no fun. So anyway, we'll stick around though.
Okay, thank you, man.
All right, so next,
I have to have one person step out if we're moving on from public comment.
Hi, I'm Tanya Williams. I work at Family Care Clinic with Dr. Moffitt, and I also have a direct primary care practice here in Dodge City. I'm coming in with a little different take here. It's not my goal to tell you that we should stay open or we should close. I think that it's clear from the patients that I've tested that people are not following the guidelines. A certain portion of the population is not. So I understand that if we say we're going to stay closed for 2 weeks, those same people will continue to not follow the guidelines. So while I think that might be the best thing for Dodge City and Ford County, I'm not really going to advocate for that. What I'm advocating for is information. On my end, I've been uncertain about, from the start, who is releasing patients. If you guys are testing and then they come back to me, how do I know it's safe to release them? Because I have no documentation, I don't know anything. Am I releasing them or are you releasing them as a health department? So that's been a big thing. And then the other thing was I felt concerned, and that's why I emailed, that we've been minimizing this in our community. And I think that's part of the reason that we don't see people abiding by the rules. And when I have patients who come in and they're sick and they're worried about it, I ask, well, who have you been around? Where do you work? Why did you get tested? Who said you should get tested? Did you get tested on your own? And it's clear that people thought it was okay to go to grandma's house or to hang out with their buddy that, works in a different place than they do. And so my point about this whole thing is that we have to have communication, and we've got healthcare providers who are out here seeing the patients. I know the county's doing a lot of testing, but we are too. And then we see them, and there are patients, and they call us and say, hey, I'm short of breath. So I feel like we need some coordination among all of us. We're not fighting, we're not competing with one another. We're supposed to be working together. And that, I hope that we can do a better job of that. But regarding the community, they're starving for information. If you read the Ford County Post, people are commenting, well, how many cases do we have? How many have recovered? How many, what's going on? And you're right, our population that's had this is extremely young. If you look at our population that's been sick compared to the nation, it's very young. That's because a good portion of our people have been obeying the rules and staying home. We open up now, that's probably not going to happen as much. So I think it's super important as a unit that we come out and say, please be cautious, wear your masks. I think it's important that we wear our masks. I think that anytime those of us who are in a position where we're seeing patients or in the public, we ought to be following those guidelines that the governor set forth because we're the example for others. And so what I'm looking for is just a way to get the news out to the public. There are rumors, everybody kind of knows, oh, well, somebody else died, but it's not reported, and I know we can do a better job of communicating. And so that's really where I want to go with this, is it's not about telling you what to do, other than please give us more information. Please tell the public. And that is why I started doing what I've done, is because people wanted to know, and I just go to the KDHE website, gather it, and put it out. But it doesn't agree with what you guys have. And so that leaves me wondering, well, do I not have all the information? And that's how we guide what we do, is by the information we have, but we just don't have the information. So I would just love to see the county come out and give some real guidelines about what to do. If you go out, if you stay home, you know, people read your posts. I know they do. And that's what they need, more than just, we have 14 new cases today, or we have 12 new cases, or whatever. Are you testing on the weekends?
Yes.
So you did test this weekend?
Yes.
Anyway, I know this isn't easy. I have a business, my husband has a business. We want businesses open, but we want it to be safe, and we want the older people who have so far been staying home and safe to stay safe. And yes, our death rate is low, and when our population gets this that is not so young, the death rate will not be as low as it has been so far.
Do you want to address anything from an email?
No, we can leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, we're going to move on to, I don't know if there's anybody else
Chris.
for legal counsel.
So we let Glenn in.
We'll move on to legal counsel. We have a service agreement with Battelle Memorial Institute.
Correct. And I am probably not the most, I know I'm not the most able to explain exactly what this contract does. But I did look at it because it seems to have a real important purpose. And I don't think Chief Rob's not here. But this is a program through the Food and Drug Administration. Battelle is the company that was picked to take these N95 or N95 equivalent respirators and basically rework them so that they can be decontaminated and reused. And this is something that I've heard from both the health department as well as from the chief that they would like to see put in place. There's no cost to the county for this service. It's an FDA funded program. And so it has some terms in it that we probably wouldn't normally prefer to have, you know, like it's got the choice of laws in Ohio. But it's also something that is at no cost, and so it's a little bit hard to negotiate the contract because it's really a service. And it's a contract that can be ended at any time by either party, either as a result of the funding ending or just because the county would decide not to use it. So we're bringing it to you today with a recommendation for approval.
Well, this is kind of a no-brainer.
I think it's
It's a
something-
no-brainer.
I think it's something we want to do, yes. Never use no-brainer with a public body.
Well, most people I speak to here need to be reminded, sometimes they're no-brainers.
I got you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the service agreement with Battelle Memorial Institute.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Glenn. Good to see you.
Okay, so now we move on to the county administrator's report, and the first one is county operations.
Gentlemen, the first topic we'd like to tackle is the opening of the government center to the public. I know we talked about this last meeting, to see where we would be at by this time. We had a staff meeting today, we were talking about it all week via email. And logistically, we're just not ready, especially for the government center. There are some offices that are ready. So having a blanket statement that the county offices should be open wouldn't work for everybody, if that makes sense. Especially the ones in the government center. So today in the meeting, we were asking for another week to look into some logistics to see if we can be ready next week.
Well, I don't think there's a motion or anything, obviously there isn't, but we can definitely have a discussion about how we move forward. I know that, talking with you, there's one department that feels that they can run full force and just keep going. And I think there's a lot of others out of the many that would like to remain closed from the public based on exposure and then increased workload from being down for so long. And I think that is also interesting to have. It's there's a lot of departments and a lot of discussion throughout that. So anyone wants to formulate a thought or an opinion or keep a discussion running?
So, next Tuesday, the property, second half of property tax, the 10th, isn't it?
Yes.
Something like that. You know, the day's the 4th, and you add 7 to it, you know. What about the people paying the property tax? They didn't mail it in, what, you know? I'm asking the question.
Deb, you can answer if you'd like to.
Most of our transactions are through the mail. Our heaviest mail will be more than likely the remainder of the week.
Okay.
When we open up, we can, if we have the week to work our mail, then we will be able to put our primary focus on our customers.
Are you answering phone calls now in the office?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
It's been very difficult to answer the phone when we were operating skeleton.
Right.
Because we could not get our mail done and keep up and answer the phone. But we are answering the phone as best as we can. I do have staff that are self-isolating. So, with that being said, we operate better as a full unit versus skeleton, and we can get more done.
I had a business owner contact me this week, and he's got 8 properties that he needs to pay on that he thinks of, owned by 3 different entities. So he can't remember if he wrote the checks or not. Some he pays in full, some he doesn't. And I encouraged him to make the phone call. I didn't hear back from him. Obviously, it's the beginning of the week. I called this morning. But it's one of those where I thought if you're answering the phone, he may have got his answer.
Yes, and like I said, I'm 2 staff short in tax. Motor vehicle, they are answering the phone and working the mail, so
Okay.
we're doing the best we have
Yeah.
with what we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I guess to put it bluntly, I'm a little disappointed in the timeline. We talked last week about getting staff back, keeping the building closed, and now we need another week, and then we'll see you again next week. I'm disappointed with that. If we need another week to get ready and we're gonna be open in a week, well, maybe I can go with that. But seeing what we can sort out on logistics and then having the conversation again next week, I think is, I'm not for that. I think if we're just gonna keep pushing this out and pushing it out and putting it off, we get to revisit it next week and we say, well, okay, at the end of this week then, or the beginning of the week after that, if you feel like you're ready, we'll come back. That timeline's too vague for me. I don't want to keep getting pushed off. I'd rather have something nailed down.
actually like that our numbers are down as far as the cases today. And we've seen a decline. One of my thoughts has always been reopening too soon. It might delay some of the recovery of people that are out there. And it would encourage less interaction one-on-one. So I think whatever we do here, I think we just need to make sure we make the steps to walk forward properly. And I'm okay keeping it tight for another week and opening it up, looking at it throughout the week and watching the numbers and seeing what happens. And I do understand this is an important week for counties because it's the pay week. I mean, it's like everybody's up against the gun and has that pressure in all counties. Mr. Snook, you have any ideas on the way you'd like to see the county operations move forward?
You all know what my thoughts were about that deal. I've expressed it all to Glenn and him. He told me that he was going to express it to you guys. You already know what I think.
Administrator Gilbert, if he's expressed his interest to you, can you express it to me?
He's not talking about the same thing.
Okay.
My concern is about just like the individual you're talking about with 3 or 4 deals. Cassie probably has 10 or 15 he's got to sort through. It takes time for somebody to help go through that deal, so it's not messed up in the end. There's not a penalty and all that deal. And I wanted to apply to the governor to get this pushed back, and I've been talking to Pika about that deal, and almost was there.
I heard you got the governor's ear. Can you tell me about that?
Don't do any good. It's already been kicked down.
It has. Okay.
Been kicked down by JD kicked her down.
I didn't kick it down. I don't have the authority to kick it down.
Where'd Glenn go?
He was asking me what was going on.
He called me and said it was a no deal.
Right. So then it would be Glenn, it wouldn't be me. I don't have the authority to do that.
He said that you had the information, that I want to listen to your deal.
And you're right, and you didn't come back to me.
I know. He already told me the answer, what your answer was.
I'm confused.
He's not talking about the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
So this particular agenda item is not something that needs a motion at this time, right? Is there other aspects of this
Just for the,
agenda item that we need to talk about?
just for what you're gonna address with Matt and, open public comment. And probably the executive
Regarding,
order.
I'm sorry?
The executive orders.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, would you like me to start on that? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes, I would. I've got a lot of ideas, and I think I've listened to about every side of this fight that's out there in the public. I mean, it's, they normally call these win-wins, but it's not.
It's probably a lose-lose, but
Right.
it's, so I invite Matt and the things that we were talking about earlier here, and other aspects that we get to take into consideration sitting on this side of it. Just, and I sat and wrote for a good part of yesterday, just different thoughts about this whole thing. Number one thing for me has to always be liberty. Okay? We get so caught up in talking about the danger of the virus and all of the things that we think everybody needs to be doing to safeguard ourselves from this thing. And when we're faced with this, we as governments, in something that, in a crisis like this, that's requiring intervention by the government, I think that we must always undertake that and execute that with looking through the lens of liberty first, always first. Closing public schools and shutting down state-sponsored activities well within the purview of the government. It's government run, okay, the public schools, those things, yeah, the governor, with the information she had at the time, pulled that trigger. I got no fault there at all. Closing private businesses, that's an entirely different matter. That takes on a whole different world of problems for me. The function of the government in this case should be limited to providing advice and assistance, I think, to those businesses based on its access to statistical and scientific data, and give that to those private sector businesses. Operational decisions need to be reserved for those people that own and operate those businesses. Ordering businesses closed and deeming them non-essential was a mistake, I feel. And a phased approach of giving back to the private sector that which was never the government's to take away is a perpetuation of a failed policy. It has the horrible appearance of the government choosing winners and losers in business. We must always remember that attached to those businesses are owners and employees. And no matter how non-essential the government deems a particular business, that business is very essential to that owner and very essential to his employees. On the subject of closing churches, limiting worship services, it's hard for me to even comprehend that we're having this conversation. Again, advice and assist, but the ultimate decision must be left to the religious leader in the faith community. While I do believe that it is the community that is the church, where and how it worships should never be the function of a government in this country. Government's authority is derived from the consent of the governed. We have ballot boxes, peaceful assemblies, protests, civil disobedience, all means for the citizenry to establish those boundaries. We're seeing this take place around our country and in our state right now. We will likely see some form of it here in our county. And I believe our response to those kind of things, JD, you and I talked about this earlier this week, should be limited to stopping violence and preventing danger to life and destruction of property. JD asked me if that limiting of that response put us in a position of choosing who obeys the laws and who doesn't. I don't think that it does. Number one, because individuals are making the decision to participate, but more importantly, not to participate. And number two, if the decision to not enact some punitive action upon them follows the doctrine of lesser magistrates, it is justified by the citizens' response to the prejudice and draconian applications of authority. Simply put, we as commissioners must be willing to step up and protect them from an abuse of authority. To this point, what has facilitated the ability of the federal government and the states to shut down society and economy is fear. With the information about the virus and the reported deadliness of it, the people were willing to relinquish some liberty for the chance of security from it. As the information develops, the fear subsides, and so does the government's ability to enforce that shutdown. And then the fear must be shifted to something else. And in many cases, that fear has become established through the threat of enforcement. This is an ominous turn. We often have debates with the state and federal government over local rule. Being the closest form of government to the people, we argue that we are the most responsive. If we are party to shifting that focus to the public sphere for the sake of control or power, then I feel we have forfeited that very honorable argument of local rule. Alexander Hamilton said, "When a government betrays the people by amassing too much power and becoming tyrannical, the people have no choice but to exercise their original right of self-defense to fight the government." The last point that I'd like to talk about is about the Constitution. For what reason was it written? The number one target, or the number one audience of the Constitution, is actually the government. It is the tool for which the people use to limit the government's power. Our founding fathers, by the use of the phrase, "We hold these truths to be self-evident," and others like it throughout our founding documents, demonstrated their understanding that the human spirit naturally recognizes it's supposed to live free. And the people have that knowledge from our Creator, and the very smallest and youngest among us will struggle to live before any other comprehension of the earthly world is even possible. Even with the dismal state of a basic understanding of our Constitution by much of the populace, we are able to see, just as our founding fathers did, and actually witness the human spirit now striving to recover liberty lost and rein in the government's overreach. Liberty has to be the lens. I feel like it always has to be the lens for us.
So I think the thing in front of us is the county operations, which is what this is titled on the county administrator's report. So in your discussion of thoughts, about liberty, we're hearing from administration that probably 5/10/2020 would be a date to target, if I can throw out a number, that they would like to remain closed from the public through that time frame, and look at that next day, the 11th, being open to the public. When we look at the lens of this on the county itself and people, I mean, we're still urging people to stay at home unless they need something, to move out and about and get something. We're still thinking about them in a way of saying that if we can help squash this health that's shifted or move around in public, we're trying to say let's limit that, especially if you're in an at-risk category, whether that's age or maybe medication or breathing, that we would continue that. You know, you can talk about, you know, groups of 10 or more, which is something I think that the state has brought down, that they would highly encourage for a short period longer to avoid groups of 10 or more. If you're sick, stay at home. If you need help, contact us. I mean, we've got places we can put you. If you've got somebody that you're staying with, maybe it's an elderly parent and you're afraid of getting them sick, we've got a hotel we can put you in. If you've been exposed to somebody at work, same thing. Talking about the self-enforced quarantine of 14 days. I mean, we really are wanting people to continue that. I mean, I think that's kind of what has come down, is not a forced, but we're wanting people to continue that. If you've been exposed to somebody, we're wanting you to not spread that. I think that's how we squash this thing. But Commissioner Tassin, I'm wide open to how you think county operations should move. Kind of just putting it out there that 5/10 for me is kind of another big date, because I think that, you know, listening to health professionals, who some are saying, well, open everything back up, others are saying keep this tight. We're so close to that finishing line that you know, how do we advance? I can tell you that I don't agree with the governor and everything that she's done. I think she's kind of picked and choose which industries survive and which ones don't. I think if I was a hairdresser like my mother, which could have been an easy industry for me to go into, my luxurious hair, just kidding. I think it could have been one of those things that I can't imagine my mom's business still surviving with the 11 full-time people she had working underneath her. I mean, it would not have survived this long because they work on very narrow margins with people they consider friends. I mean, most of the time you go to a hairdresser, you're divulging all of your gossip to them, and they're giving you medication right back through therapy. And I would be very offended because of how high her standards were. Of course, she's retired, but how high her standards were on sanitation, that I would put her up against any eye doctor, any dentist, with one-on-one time with someone. I think that I wouldn't have a problem with her having someone getting their hair blow dried 10 feet away and her working on someone else. And I just, to me, it's bad choice on government, but I also think that, you know, kind of looking at the end of this, I think we're so close to running that marathon that we've been through and the time that we put in. I understand we have employees that are nervous. I think the word fear is easy to be used here, but I think it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for us to, as a population, get back to running in full circles and being able to go to a football game together, let alone sitting at a bar maybe just having a drink. I think it's I think those days are farther out. But I'm very curious on what you gentlemen think as far as moving forward. In my mind, I just want to make sure that that is said about the 5/10/2020 date in my mind. I think that, you know, if there's a week still to watch this and get our numbers down, that's kind of my thought.
So I would agree with you on so much of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
All of these, I don't want my statement about liberty and looking at this through that lens to ever be construed as saying we don't need to continue to be careful, that we don't need to continue to push that message out there to practice your social distancing, you know, to avoid those large groups. You know, those things are things that we have been putting out there. We've been almost on a daily basis. Every time we put out anything on Facebook that's on there, you know, continue to practice these these safe guidelines. The quarantines and things like that, that need to take place, I'm absolutely for doing that. Absolutely for the individual, especially making that decision themselves to do what needs to be done. With regards to the county operations, I think my level of disappointment comes that I wanted the county to be seen as a leader in getting back to things being normal. And that we're not moving in that direction as we speak, or that we feel like we need the next week to think about it some more and then make a decision. That's where I'm feeling some frustration, is that in the public eye that we're not showing up as more of a leader to getting things back to normal there. Okay. With regard to the executive orders, and with the statements I just made about liberty, I I'll have a very hard time recommending from the county that we continue shutdown of private sector beyond this point at a higher level
Than what the
governor's at right now. I feel like you do, and particularly about the hairstylists and those salons and things like that. I've had a couple of those folks who call me, and the level of training that those folks go through regarding hygiene and health and cleanliness and things like that, and then the level of state inspections and guidelines and,
Yep.
and things, regulation that they go through from the state in order to continue remaining in business, and then be left out of this first phase of opening things back up. I felt like, that's really a slap in the face to that profession, because of the level of, I don't think people realize the level of training that they go through and certifications that they acquire and so on and so forth. So I felt that was poor. And I'm needing to see my eye doctor. I got eyeglasses held together with a rubber band, and my hair is
You need a
about
haircut.
my hair is about long enough. I need a rubber band for it as well. So yeah, it's time.
I hear the governor gives a mean haircut. Governor's husband, maybe?
It's not right.
So, Chris, what you want to do is you want to lock down just this building here till 5/10. Is this correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think if we don't have our plan in place, and I think that if we aren't seeing the decline for as long as what we wanted to see in cases, I think it'd be smart for us to keep the building shut down for one more week. And then,
So when somebody comes in with a multitude of deals, to pay the property tax,
yep.
and all that deal, what are they gonna do other than call on the phone? And I have to tell you, I realized the phone is going crazy when I arrived here. Somebody was looking for trying to get in the treasure deal. Amy let me in this door, and Sean was in here going through his stuff, and she let me in, and when we walked by there, Amy said, I rang you up here, ma'am, I'll ring you to another desk. I don't know, that was going to be treasure flow. And I know you're working really hard, so what are we gonna do about that? We've already found out that the staff is not taking a mask.
I can assure you that when we open up to the public, we're gonna give it our 100%.
Well, I know that, Debbie.
I know
I've
that.
known you since you was 16,
our customers come in, when it opens up, we will address those that need more assistance than over the phone. You know, we are more than, we have helped customers, when they have called by email. We send them reports on what they owe. Sometimes the customers' properties are a little more complicated than others.
I promise you, it's not so.
Yeah, there will be those, and we will address it when we open up. They will not have service. We will take care of our customers.
But if you open it up, okay, 5:10 is on Sunday, right?
Yep.
And then Monday's 5:11, 5:12 is gonna be done, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're only gonna allow 10 people in, right? Is that what the governor said?
Yeah, other than our doorway right there, in 6 feet, we can allow 10 people in. As you got pointed out. Yeah.
Well, I don't know,
I guess the executive order, does it say a different number by that date?
Not that day.
19th is the earliest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was farther out.
Those are the things we're figuring out internally, those are the logistics I'm talking about. We also have staffing issues which we can't talk about in open meeting. There's operational issues which would detriment the security, which we can't talk about in open meeting either, so that's what I'm talking about. Those are the things we're trying to figure out.
Right.
That we're not ready for.
Is there a way to, trying to think phone-wise, because it seems like, you know, if we're not at the front desk or in each office, maybe we can have a department that maybe isn't as hectic right now turn into a secretarial answering calls desk, so that more calls can get answered.
We're working on that too.
Okay. And it's tough, I know, because in a building like this, you have many electeds, and you may not be getting that same response back of what can I do to help, like Sheriff Carr did the other day, trying to assist bringing people up to your office to help.
And we are working on that. We have some technical issues we have to get worked out.
Yeah.
But the plan is to get one of his staff members in my office to help with the mail.
Okay.
Love that happened.
Me too. It's family. And currently, you don't, I'm trying to think of this, through this topic. We don't have to have action here. We could make a motion. We're really wide open to whatever at this point.
They said it's dead. Someone texted me that it was dead.
There's my bed.
She just hung up.
Now it's dead. We wanted to make sure.
All right, so as it is right now, Ford County's Lower Lock building is fully staffed, but locked down,
It's not fully staffed.
almost. Is that a bad way to word it then?
Yes, we have skeleton departments right now because of staffing issues
Okay.
that we're still trying to work out. So if we open, we can. I mean, I'm not saying we can't. We can open tomorrow. We can open as soon as the meeting is over. But that's not going to be. We're not going to be able to provide the service that we're used to providing. There's going to be a lot of confusion amongst our staff. And the logistics for trying to open the building on a limited capacity, like where we're at now, is just difficult. It's just that this building is not made for one hallway. If you wanna go to this office, you go in one hallway, it's just not.
Right.
I mean, those are the things we're trying to figure out, to make sure that's. the
Because
right
someone could
way.
walk in and have access to the entire building and keep walking around and keep bugging people, and that's what we're trying to eliminate,
Right.
is direct access to the department they need to go to and come back out.
And to be able to monitor that and control it.
Yep. Okay. So as a suggestion from you, you need how much time? Working through the
We
staff
agreed-
meetings?
We agreed with in the staff meeting today that we'd work on it this week and be ready for next week. Can you put your mic over there? I don't know what else to tell them.
Or they want to talk to us?
No. It's not, the system's not gonna get any louder. The mics aren't gonna get any louder. We're talking as loud as we can, so, and as clear as we can, so it's not gonna get, this is the best we have.
Should we table this, move on to county engineering?
No, they still need to, I think you still need to be clear about
Direction?
executive order. What you
Okay.
guys wanna do.
So, do you need a motion for a date?
No, because I don't think we had a motion to open tomorrow. I don't think when we had this meeting last week that there was a motion to open. So,
Right.
I don't think you need a motion to undo another one, is what I'm saying. So if you had a motion last week for us to open, let's just say it was tomorrow, and I was asking for an extension, then they would have to have a motion to extend it. But at this point, I wouldn't need a motion, that would just be the direction.
But what if I'd like a motion this week, so that if we come next week, it takes another motion to extend it?
That's fine too.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Mhm. I'm getting texts from people on the phone that saying it's hard for them to hear, but I know that a microphone doesn't help. It's more of a speaker next to the phone would be what helps.
Right.
Yep. Those are in the back of the room.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that the county then open the government center for full operations on 5/11,
County offices.
county offices. County offices as opposed to what, JD?
Because when you're saying government center, you're just talking about this building. But if you're talking about county offices, we're talking about.
Weed department,
We're talking
road
about all of
and
them.
bridge.
Okay, or, no, earlier we were talking about particularly this
Right.
government center.
Right, and that's why I said a blanket statement probably wouldn't work. If you wanted to say county offices open tomorrow, a lot of our departments probably could, but the government center couldn't. That's why I was, in the very beginning of the conversation, that's why I was saying, I don't know if a blanket statement's gonna work.
Okay, I'm gonna retract my motion until I get a better understanding here. A road and bridge and noxious weed operational, they are now. So,
But the county offices, when we originally shut down, the county offices were shut down to the public. So that every office was shut down to the public. The
it
only-
still is.
Still is, right.
Okay, got you, all right, I'm clarified now, sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
So I would make a motion to open county offices Monday, 5/11/2020.
I second.
So the motion second, more discussion on that? I think we kind of said earlier about how we'd urge people to continue to stay at home and continue the things that we've recommended, washing your hands, social distancing, avoiding congregations of 10 or more. If you're sick, stay at home, those things. I know we've discussed that openly, but I mean, that might be something to come out of.
Well, I think publicly, especially what these two are looking for specifically in the business group, looking for that you're not gonna add any further restrictions
Correct.
to the governor's orders. We will comply with the governor's orders with not adding any more restrictions. That's what they're looking for, that clear kind of statement.
That's it.
And I think that
It's clear.
that would probably need to come after talking about our government deal here, but actually a separate discussion, or if I think it needs it, a separate motion, but, and of course, to what you're saying there, Chris, as far as continuing to practice those safety measures, that goes for business at our county offices as well. If you can take care of these things online, or if you can take care of these things with a phone call or through the mail, absolutely do that first and foremost right now. That, let's use common sense and do the right thing here. That's, I don't want to say that goes without saying, because it doesn't, we need to say it. But those are the things that help Deb in her office, as far as, number one, just getting all the work done that she has to do, but of course, number two is just the safety for everybody. So the more that we can shelter through this thing, the better.
Okay, so we have a motion to open full operations in the county offices as of 5/11/2020. All those in favor?
Aye.
Up next is the county engineer report.
We really need to talk about
Yeah, you gotta talk about
the executive orders, yeah.
Okay.
I think it just needs to, it sounds like Commissioner Tassett's already given his opinions on the executive orders and how we should move forward.
If I can put it plainly, I do not believe that the county should make anything more stringent than what the executive order is from the governor right now.
The other clarity that a lot of people probably need to know is that we can be, as a local government, we can be more strict than the governor's executive orders.
Correct.
But we cannot be less strict.
Correct.
You also have the option, what the open public comment individuals are basically asking, to make it short and sweet, is to continue the original executive order that expired yesterday, or at 2359. That's basically what they're asking, is to continue that order for another 2 weeks, as opposed to following the order that started today. Which you have, as the county commission and board of public health, you have the authority to follow those restrictions.
All right, gentlemen, what kind of discussion would you like to have on executive orders, or what direction do you want to take, since we've already kind of had some here and privy to it? And
Do you want this in the form of a motion?
sure. or guidance?
My guidance will just be that we don't restrict any further than what the current executive order states.
I second. Good.
So we can make a motion out of that again.
That wasn't a motion you made?
No.
It's just,
Guidance.
just my thought.
Excuse me. I'm gonna take it off. I must have yours covered up too.
Any recommendations you would want to put out there to the public?
Absolutely. Continue to shelter whenever you can. Okay. But, again, with liberty being the scope, I'm not gonna sit here and tell a business owner that the governor has just said you're eligible to reopen in whatever manner is deemed right, that in this county you can't. I don't believe that's right. I believe that's outside the scope of our authority. We can strongly suggest, we can, strongly encourage safety, washing hands, wearing masks, sheltering, social distancing wherever possible. But I still feel like the decision has to be the business owners and the employees.
Well, look at me, I'm not gonna have to push it up to the rest of
No.
Is that what you're looking for?
Nope, nope,
Well, let's just
nope.
go on the line.
Yep.
Go.
All right. You have a motion then?
I make a motion that Ford County does not place any further restrictions on private industry than the executive order by the governor.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I second it. Get on.
All right, motion second are on the table. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Anna.
You did email me that, right, Matt?
What's that?
You did.
I text you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
see
you.
ya.
on that.
Pat, you weren't here at the beginning. You might have been in the hall, but just so you know, when yours comes up, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, we actually moved all those into one motion. Yes. Okay.
Gentlemen, I have to get John Hobbybox on the phone, and my phone is almost dead. So, all right, well, Chris will probably do it then. But Pat is getting my cell phone charger for me.
Heck of a meeting, huh?
No, it would be.
Yes. So many thoughts rolling.
Yeah. I sat down yesterday and I started putting this
Yep, sorry.
down on paper. I just answered many of them, I don't know where to start.
This is John.
Hold on 1 second, John. I'm trying to get situated because my phone is dying.
Where are you sitting?
think we're ready now.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Very good. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, John.
You should have before you a contract proposal from Kirkland Michael to provide field topographic survey and engineering design to produce plans for the reclamation of Jewel Road. This would be from the town of Wright near the Highway 50 junction, then east to 126 Road. And a couple of explanation items. One reason that I we're proposing that Kirkland Michael provide the survey is knowing that Ford County's county surveyor is a one-man show, so to speak. And then the county's desiring to get this project bid, or at least ready to bid this summer yet, in essence of time, that we can have personnel go out there with a multi-person crew and survey the job much more quickly with our own forces. So just an explanation as to why in this particular case we're proposing for us to do the survey as opposed to the county surveyor. And I did talk to the county surveyor, and he was agreeable with that plan.
Hey, John, can you explain that one more time, just so I understand why we wouldn't use our own employee for that?
Well, as a one-person operation, it would take him quite a while to get the work completed that we need done. And I believe he said he has been only working in the field partially up until just recent, this week, actually, I think today, that he said he's back in the office, so to speak. But for one person to topo survey 8.5 miles is going to take probably all summer just to get the work done, if not longer. Where we can go out there with our crew, we'll have 2 or 3 people out there that do topo survey on a regular basis, and they can knock this out in probably a week and a half, something like that.
And according to the budget cost estimates, is that line number 1, preliminary engineering and design? Is that,
I'm not sure what line item one you're looking at, Chris.
oh, cost share program? Is that not what I'm at? Am I in the wrong one? What is your cost for the Kirkland Michael engineering part?
Okay, yeah, for all of the survey and design would be $36,000 lump sum fee. And that includes developing the construction plans as well as assisting the county with advertising and bidding the project to a contractor. And so that should match the budget that was put in the cost share application numbers. Now, what I would also point out with that is I'm planning to survey and design the entire project, but due to the funding limitations, we're only proposing to bid 3 miles of the project as a base bid to start with. And then, again, if pending the amount of funds available, what I was planning to do, and if you have the engineering agreement in front of you, if you turn to page 2, which would be paragraph B3 in the agreement, I was planning to bid 3 miles of reclamation as a base bid and provide several add alternates. 2 of the add alternates would be to reclaim an additional 2 miles between, that would be looking at letter D in that section there, going from 120 Road on west to 119 Road. And then letters E and F would be to bid a second additional mile going on another mile west to 118 Road. And when I talked to the commission previously, after we got the geotechnical report, we'd indicated that Terracon's report, based on the traffic projections we provided, said that a 3-inch asphalt surface on top of the cement stabilized base would provide a 20-year design. So the base bid would include doing the 3-inch hot mix overlay, and then as additional add alternates, we would take bid prices from contractors to put down an additional inch, or a total of 4 inches of hot mix, which would provide a 30-year design life according to Terracon's geotechnical report. So we're going to provide the contractors several different options, and we're going to require them to bid all of them, and the county can select based on the amount of funds available. Either none of the add alternates, just go with the base bid, or you could select the base bid plus different variations of the add alternates to either achieve a 20-year design life on just the 3-mile base bid, or if you want to go with the 4-inch asphalt overlay and get a 30-year life on the 3-mile base bid, or then you could do the same thing with the additional 2 extra miles. So it's going to provide the commissioners with a lot of flexibility, a lot of different options to look at based on the bids and the amount of money available. The reason why I'm proposing to go ahead and design the entire 8.5 miles, for one, is that the reclamation is going to change the elevation of the road just a little bit, maybe by an inch or so. And then by designing it all at one time, we can provide the contractor the elevations to build to make it all match up, with the current bids as well as the future reclamation sections. The other reason is that if federal stimulus funds become available for counties to pursue, we would have that entire 8.5 miles that we could potentially seek federal stimulus funds for, and if that were to come true, maybe we could get the entire 8.5 miles done instead of just 3 or 4. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
So, John, you need a motion to approve this?
Yeah, in order to get us started on, get our guys lined up to go do the survey and start on design, we would need a motion to approve. I did email copy this agreement to the county councilor. I don't know if he had a chance to look at it or provide any comments, but I did send it to him.
Well, it's been forwarded to us here, so usually it's been through his hands if we get it, so. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the agreement for engineering services between Fort County, Kansas and Kirk and Michael and Associates.
That's okay.
All right. So a motion to approve the design agreement for pavement reclamation on Jewel Road from Wright to 126. Any further discussion while we've got John on the phone? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
All right, appreciate it very much, gentlemen. Is there any other items that, any other questions or anything on this that you need to ask of me?
We'll wait until we see you. It's been a long meeting already.
Well, I hope to make that come true pretty soon, to make a personal visit.
There we
All right.
go.
Take care,
Thank you much.
John. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So up next is the Human Resources 2020-21 Health Plan Contributions.
I will make this really quick. It can be done. Okay, so in your packet, I gave you the recommendations. The committee was throwing emails back and forth. So, we would like to recommend that the plans stay the same, which you already voted for, and the low deductible plan, the single premium be $50 per month, Employee children, $385.56 per month. Employee spouse, $484.63 per month. Employee family, $940.82 per month. This is, the tiers with dependents stayed the same. The single policy did go up a bit.
15,
Yeah, it's 31.
31, okay, I was thinking it was 35, okay?
Yes, and then for the high deductible plan, the employee only V0, the employee children, $210 a month, the employee spouse, $326 per month, the employee family, $600 per month. This is a nice reduction in premium for the high deductible plan for people who choose to cover their dependents. So it benefits the employees on their premium costs. It also helps spread the risk evenly, but not evenly, but for the county as well. The county's first cost would be reduced by $2,500 for a single plan and $3,800 for dependent plans. So we're rewarding the employees for being willing to share that risk.
Well, interesting enough with the employee family, I mean, that's over a $4,000 savings if they went to a higher deductible.
Yes.
I know it's more to take on.
And then the second part of that, the second part of that contribution would be the health savings account county match. This year, the commission voted to match $500 for every employee. What we're proposing is to increase the county match to $600 for a single. So basically that is, if they invested their $50 premium on the low into their health savings account, they're more than having their deductible. So they're getting $600 match. And with the dependents, all three tiers, if you have a dependent, having the county match go to $1,200. So it truly is a win-win and reduces our risk. So I asked IMA to rework the budget with those proposals after they put in all those numbers, including the health savings funding. Our total budget for our health package dropped 8%.
Wow.
So that is, I'm so excited.
And that's by offering the health savings account and these deductible options.
That is a compilation of everything that we're doing. So we're gonna lower our risk if people choose the high deductible plan. Let's say nobody chooses to make a change, then we're still seeing a reduction of almost 10%. Unheard of. We're doing so many things right. Anyway, like I said, super excited. So I don't remember the last time I've been able to report to the commission this kind of reduction.
Forgive me for throwing cold water.
Go ahead.
It's better than ice cubes.
Snows.
I'm sitting here looking at, the two different plans and what the premiums are. So for an employee with a child or children, $385 a month. Employee with a spouse, $484 a month. An employee that wants to do his whole family is $940.
Yes.
Why? I mean, an employee could take out two different policies there, one for him and his child and one for him and his spouse, and come up cheaper than the family.
They don't have that option.
I know that.
But
My point is why are we soaking somebody
With
that wants
family.
to insure his whole family when there's options for insuring the whole family, basically, that comes up $70 a month less? I'm curious about that premium. Why are they soaking the person that has a family?
we don't have to. It's based on risk assumption, but We don't have to. That is arbitrary. If you
Are we
wish.
setting the premium?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So, let's address that. It's the same on the other one. You know, it's 500 and,
That's the total, if you have them together.
yeah, $870. There's a $70 difference there. The other one is,
7019.
Mhm.
is, what, $64 difference on your other premium.
That would be great. That would be even better.
Well, and there's,
Well-
last I checked, there was just a handful of people on this, less than 15, maybe less than 12 whole families. That might have
Yes.
changed.
Yes. No, it hasn't, but I'm hoping that it will, because in the past, people couldn't afford
Yeah.
to put their whole family on. So they had to look for other options. We're getting to a point now that I would love to design this package so that more people could afford to put
Kids.
their kids
Family,
on.
yeah.
So if, what was the number?
870, 19 cents. And the other one's 210 plus 326.
We might be able to do that.
$536.
536. Yep. Oh, I just went the other way. Told my
Because
kids
it's
are common
a long
math too
day.
long.
Okay,
I like that option a lot.
I love that option.
Because I think that's thinking outside the box that I wasn't thinking.
I
Yes.
just, it doesn't make sense
and it,
to soak the person that wants to bring a family on.
right, I absolutely agree, so I am great with that. We also, we're gonna focus on a lot of education because we didn't have a lot of participation even for the people that selected the high deductible plan. We didn't have a lot of participation in the health savings account match. And we're like, oh, you're leaving money on the table. So we're gonna educate people.
Can I ask a crazy thought here? Okay, so we're trying to encourage people not to put, I mean, truly this model is the more people we have in it, the better the rate becomes, in a sense.
We spread the risk.
We're spreading the risk, right? So, almost my thought when it comes, I don't know, when it comes to insurance, like, right? So, if you can use the law of large numbers, and we could encourage, like, someone like Sean or myself, or, you know, around the room, and we could say, we want you to not have your spouse be on maybe a separate plan, but we want them to be on this one, and we want the kids to be on this one. I like where you went on, it doesn't make sense to penalize them, because I think that's how we've always looked at this. Is it's penalize them, make them move them to something else. So if you have your wife in the school system, you would force her to go on the school system's health insurance, and then we would keep the kids. Or she keeps the kids and you're just here as an employee by itself. What if we lowered it even to make it more family friendly to bring everybody to one? And it, I don't know, we don't have to, but it's just a thought process, because I've never thought this through that way. And it kind of got me excited, the fact that you're trying to say, let's reward the family. Let's keep them all in-house, one policy, one place for them to be. It almost as if it's a no-brainer that, it's Ken's word, a no-brainer that we would want to say, you know, we want you and we want your family to be here, because we know this is like one of the best things for us, is the health is the benefit of it. I mean, our benefits are the best thing that we can offer. I mean, it's what we're currently offering better than anything else.
And I would put our package up against any employer.
I agree with that.
That makes us the premier employer.
Yep. I mean, I like the idea of going down from 940 to whatever our number was. I even like the idea of making it a little bit sweeter, to where there's just a hair of a savings. I mean, and then the flip side, we've been penalizing the people to put their families on here.
Well,
Yeah, you definitely have that freedom, whatever the savings
let's
are.
go 850.
Yeah, whatever the savings are, you can take it right back out.
I mean, you feel this more than I do. I mean, you're involved with these people.
Yeah.
They have to be
Yeah,
talking to you.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was in the last 4 years, what the premiums have gone up, but they've gone up
Right.
every year,
Right.
at least. Well, even since I've been here, for 6 years at least, they've gone up every year. So in this case, I mean, you can literally tell her what you want the premiums to be, and we'll make the budget that we have work that.
Well, currently, if you have a family, you would be looking at $11,000, almost $300 a year out of pocket to have this coverage. And we moved it down to, what was the number?
870.19.
Yeah, 870.19, but we could just lop it at 850.
So that's 10,044.
You could even make it even numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna take it, I mean, even numbers where you're stair stepping 200, 400 to 600. I mean,
Yeah.
it could literally, you guys set the premiums.
What you think?
Well, look at me, I got mine going up every year with my social security.
I'd like,
Me, this is.
I'd like for somebody to be able to make the decision about bringing his family on without thinking, well, I'm kind of taking a hit here.
350, 450, 750 on the low deductible plan.
Even if it's 375, 475, and what were we talking? Maybe a flat 900?
850.
Or
Okay.
whatever the number was, 8?
Yeah, 8 was 870.
870.
So if we do 375, 475, that's a reduction, and you add those together would be 850.
Okay. Or do you want the family cheaper?
375 and 475 is 850, you said?
Mhm.
Okay. And then I'd just say match your family. Put it at the 850.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay.
Great. And then the high deductible plan, because it has the built-in extra money with the health savings account, we want the difference to be noticeable in the premium, but I really think that 210 to 326, and if we go 536 for the family, that's a really good value.
Oh, very, very good value.
Because they have an opportunity to get more than 2 premiums back in their health savings account. And that's all tax-free.
And tell me real quick on the 3,000, 6,000 deductible, like how is that met when you're thinking about full family?
Okay, so full family would need to meet
Six?
$6,000. One member needs to meet 3,000.
Okay.
And then the rest of the family unit can
Together,
meet the
6. Okay. Okay. I like that a lot more.
Awesome. Super excited.
Well, I think we're, I don't know, the best way to word this, we're doing things in our health department, I shouldn't say department, that's been on the mind too much. With our health plan that is actually saving us money, and that's incredible. And the fact that we get to share that off to the team is even better.
Yes.
I love that. I mean, I was just looking at this, and if we did the 3,000, 6,000 high deductible plan, I mean, that's $6,432 a year for a family, and it's so much more reasonable than I think it was 12,000 or something prior.
Yes.
And, you know, it's incredible savings.
And they can choose. They're
There you
not,
go,
if
yeah.
they choose to go high deductible and it doesn't work, they're only stuck with it for a year. So,
Is there anything else you want us to think through when it comes to this 2021 health plan contributions?
not the health plan contribution portion.
Okay, so you need a motion on us to finish that.
Yes, please.
Make a motion to approve the health plan with the amended premiums for the 2 deductible plans.
And I would second that. With the motion second, any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is the cafeteria plan. This is a housekeeping thing. The commission has to approve our cafeteria plan, which is tax savings for, I think I said it fairly decently in the instructions. Anyway, premiums that qualify are pre-tax, and we also can have flexible spending accounts for medical and flexible spending accounts for dependent care or daycare expenses. The IRS set a limit of $2,750 this year for medical and kept the $5,000 for dependent care the same as it has been in the past. I am asking that the board approve our cafeteria plan for 2021 plan year with those limits.
Can you tell me those limits again?
Yes, $5,000 per year for dependent care maximum, and $2,750 per year for medical expenses.
Okay.
And this is only for people on the low deductible health plan to help them out. The way that it helps the commission is we don't pay employer taxes on these contributions either.
Oh, okay.
So it is a significant amount
Savings on both sides.
of savings on both sides.
Finally, a win-win today, man.
I'm telling you, HR's your
Wow.
friend.
Wow. All right, how's this changed from last year?
It just went up $50 on the medical, so it's the same as last year.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve the cafeteria plan options. The employee contribution maximum for dependent care, $5,000 per year for single and married. Medical expense contribution is $2,750. Employees are still allowed to carry the $500 from one plan to the next year.
I would second the motion.
Motion second. Any further discussion? I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, one more.
Yep.
This is our wellness incentive. This is a fairly new program. It's going pretty well. We get more and more people participating. The committee, this is the second year they've asked for it, but I feel we have budget for it this year. They're asking if their families can help do wellness activities to get incentive as well. So what we're proposing this year is $75 per quarter be the maximum per member on our plan. So last year, you did $75 max per quarter, $25 a month, only for the employees. This would broaden it to everyone on our plan, that we still have the guidelines on different activities. It would go nicely with trying to get more family on. I did just a quick calculation. If 300 people receive the maximum incentive, that's $300 per year, so that would be $90,000 that would cost. Of course, we don't get 100% participation every quarter, but it won't damage the budget. It won't, because if they're doing all these preventatives and the incentive, it's going to turn around and result in more healthcare for them before something happens.
And how is it trackable?
They do a wellness log, so it just looks like this, and we pretty much are doing the honor system. They will, if a lot of them are taking it to their doctor or their dentist or their eye doctor, and they just sign off,
Okay.
had an eye exam on this day. If people walk the stairs, we do honor.
And how do you do that with children?
The kiddos, let's say they get to play ball this summer.
Yeah.
If they're on a competitive or a rec team, then that's a $5 activity. That would be a $5 activity every time they go play ball.
Gymnastics, whatever.
Yes.
Soccer, yeah.
I did put, or the committee did put, a maximum of 5 of those little activities per quarter per plan member. just so that that's not all they did. They were also going to the dentist to get their teeth
That's
cleaned,
what I was gonna say.
going to the eye doctor,
Somehow or another, you're gonna have to make sure that the employee is still incentivized to
do the other
be taking care of their
things.
stuff, otherwise they're gonna have the kids doing all the stuff, they get their incentive.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so we maxed it to 5 of those little $5 activities. And for the grown-ups, that's the lunch and learns and that webinar things you can get online and take health classes.
So a family of 5 could end up earning $1,500 a year.
Yeah,
right?
okay, my math is done for today, but if you say so.
Isn't that right? Am I off on that?
No, you're still.
Okay, so,
still a
300,
max of-
if it was maximum for the whole year and there were 5 people, yes, $1,500.
Isn't that right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a heck of an incentive.
yeah, it is. It is, and most of these things are no cost.
And that's, how are they reimbursed that way?
We take it off of their premium. So,
Okay.
where we're gonna have to come up with an alternative is if we have single plan
That's what I was gonna
members
say, yeah.
that don't have premium. We're gonna have to come up with an alternative.
Your single is only gonna, what's he gonna get annually? He's not gonna have the $1,500.
No, he's gonna get $300, which is half of what he paid in. And he's still getting his, or hers,
Yeah, right,
the cafeteria fund.
right. We are really, really
This is a.
paying people to be healthy,
Yeah.
but it seems to be paying off in the numbers.
And I don't see that you could do this without, like, I know we have individual accounts, individual spouse, individual child, and then individual family. I don't know how you would do this if you broke that apart some way, where you're saying only the adults could earn, not the kids.
Yeah.
It'd have to be everything,
Well, we could, like this year, we only did employees.
employees.
But the committee's like, hey, you know, some of them did say, I'll just let my kids win my incentive. No. But, you know, that's why we're kind of limiting.
Yep. Gentlemen, do you like this idea, or do you want to move forward with just the employees?
Well, I think we could try it a year.
It's a heck of an investment, but we're looking for savings.
I'd make a motion that we improve the wellness incentive with the family package on it.
I'll second that. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Carol?
Yes.
After short recess.
Yep, we'll reconvene in 5:40, 5:50.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yep, these,
One thing I will tell you about those plans where people write down what they do and exercise, not one of them has ever worked successfully because it's just.
all right. Be back in a minute.
I know how to clear a room.
That's right.
That's from, I think that's from Don. That's from Don. This stuff right here, I think that's from Don.
From Don.
I think so.
No, okay.
Or the sheriff.
He's expected.
Yeah, I'd ask Western Beverage, they have an angle on it, so I was asking them to look into it today for pricing and figure those things out. I didn't know if you knew I was up here.
No, that's, we have that other stuff around the building, so I think that's from Don. I
Is
think,
that for the commission?
yeah.
So Tassie can.
Well, we have that bigger bottle is right there in our office.
Okay.
But the little ones, I think, are from Don still.
So.
You had a clear room, huh?
Apparently.
You That's funny, because not much has been funnier today.
I think so. Or the sheriff. He said that faster.
You've already got some, right? That's pretty cool.
Is this taking a break?
Yeah, till 7:50.
7:50?
Thank you. All right, so moving on with the administrator's report, we combined 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 to be one discussion with one motion here.
Right. Before you, you have the grants that our agency uses for both the adult and juvenile programs to fund the programs. I have gone through the advisory board and they have approved it. This has been a little bit of a strange year as far as how things actually worked out. KDOC wanted the grant still by the May 1st, but they put an extension on the signatures. So, like I said, the advisory board has approved them already. You also have the third quarter report for the juveniles, outcome report. Again, this is kind of a strange year because the coronavirus stay-at-home order affected really a significant portion of that grant. But what is really good is that we met quite a few of the outcomes prior to the third quarter when the stay-at-home order. And so this kind of gives you an idea of how our program's working. We aren't going to be getting any more people in the truancy program this year, and the JSRC program was also closed down with the stay-at-home order. We are still getting people through the IDP program, so we will be following this report till the end of the year. KDOC did indicate that if we weren't going to have any more progress, that they would accept this as the final report, but we're not done, so we'll be going through the final report at the end of the school year.
I guess it would be, the school shuts down, I guess it would make it. And then the stay-at-home deal, there's another deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been interesting for the juvenile program.
It's been pretty interesting for people my age too. You can't, what's that word, I can't believe, I haven't seen it. It's just hard to believe. Some of these things at the end of World War II was over, I quarantined, again, all sorts of things that was, and then rations, gas, rubber tires, sugar, and things like that, lots of rations. Yeah. We had a lot of quarantines. Tuberculosis, anything like that.
Swine flu.
We didn't have swine flu. They might have had it, we didn't know what it was called.
So are we needing a motion to approve all of these then?
Yes, sir.
I would make a motion to approve for Santa Fe Trails Community Corrections, the third quarter report, the fiscal year 20 juvenile comprehensive plan, fiscal year 20 juvenile reinvestment grant, the fiscal year 20 adult comprehensive plan, and the fiscal year 20 adult behavioral health services plan.
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
All right, so we have a motion second to approve the Santa Fe Trail Community Corrections reports, plans, and grants. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
See you, Pat, be safe.
We made it easier this way since we knew that time was kind of off with all departments.
And I'm sure this was a lot of really fun reading.
It's a lot.
It is. We got the
Leak out
proposals.
if I put it in here.
No.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have plastic in it. So I don't think that's.
We had the proposals come out in late February, early
It's
March.
just open.
And so.
Shut down.
We got all done pretty much.
Should we discuss the upcoming meetings?
Yeah.
Are they online throughout May?
Open enrollment is online throughout May. That is all I have for the county administrator's report.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
It is true about the wellness deal.